Well, we've already discontinued the information exchange. Is that enough?
Well, there's a lot of activities that the United States can conduct, some of them overt, some of them covert. But, and people kind of hear the word sanctions, and I think they get a bit kind of blasé about that. But targeted sanctions against specific individuals that hit specific bank accounts, properties, real estate, that can be incredibly effective.
Especially when the Russian economy is not very strong anyway, even though President Putin likes to pretend it is.
Putin maintains control by making sure that people around him have a cocoon of wealth and power. And if you start to go after those people, that puts pressure on him personally. So, look, the Russians know that there's not a free lunch for things they do against the United States. They've gotten that message consistently since the president's been in office.
Before we go, I want to go back to that New York Times article because they did do reporting, and some American officials familiar with the intelligence referenced in that article that was published today, saying in addition to aggressive and sometimes deadly counterintelligence by Moscow, quote, current and former officials also said the expulsion of American intelligence officers from Moscow has hurt collection efforts. And officials also raised the possibility that the outing of an FBI informant under scrutiny by the House Intelligence Committee, an examination encouraged by President Trump, has had a chilling effect on intelligence collection. So I ask you, is this accurate and fair analysis by those intel officials?
Well, historically, we've seen U.S. intelligence operations inside the Soviet Union, for example, have their ups and downs. And when there's a crack in the system, it ripples throughout the entire system. This is the back and forth that always occurs. There are ups and downs there, and Russia's a hard target. They're actually very good at counterintelligence operations, so it's not an easy site to penetrate. But look, if all you're relying on is intelligence to know what to do, then in the end, look, intelligence is going to let you down because it always does. So
what does that mean? What does that mean?
Well, that means you have to have protective and offensive measures that are based on more than knowing exactly what you think the other guy's going to do. That's just business as usual.
Okay, so in the outing of an FBI informant under scrutiny by the House Intelligence Committee doesn't matter.
Well, it's not that it doesn't matter. It's, look, you have intelligence failures. That's normal.
That's not a failure.
No, look, people get uncovered. People get.
But that was
you lose assets.
Request, a demand, and cooperation from the administration. That's different from someone being discovered.
But look, these things happen. You have intelligence ups and downs. That is normal. Anybody who runs an intelligence operation and expects everything to go smoothly and never lose assets or never have problems, they're just in the wrong business.
Well, I'm sure those families at home don't feel so comfortable about their families being outed. I'm not sure. Listen, I hear you. We're going to move on. Last question for you. Does Russia's persistence to interfere in U.S. elections electronically through social media qualify as a cyber attack? Are we at cyber war with Russia?
Well, there's constant cyber sniping back and forth between us and them. Part of it is again, what are we doing in response to that, and how are we addressing that behavior? And part of it, look. The Soviets have always done what's called disinformation and active measures. Sometimes that's all they know how to do and what they do. I think as much as we pay attention to it, sometimes we have to look at the efficacy of what do they actually accomplish and what do you invest in countering that. Sometimes you don't counter malicious activity because if you know about the malicious activity and you know what it's doing and you know its capability and you know it's not terribly effective, you don't want the other side to know how much you know. So there's a lot of cat and mouse that's going on here.
So was that a yes or no?
In a New York Times article.
Is this a cyber war? Are we in a cyber war with Russia? Yes or no?
Russians, the Chinese, the Iranians, the North Koreans are constantly attacking American systems, military and civilian, every day.
Copy that. Okay, James Carafano, Vice President for National Security and Foreign Policy at Heritage Foundation. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
All right, the Trump administration cutting more than $200